Hi, so I just had a thing happen. I started recording the video and then my camera went dead. And that was fun, but it gave me a little more time to think about what I am talking about, what I want to talk about, and like what I mainly wanted to do this because I took a month off of reading. I got really sick. My body gets really run down because I physically feel and sense everything in anyone that I read, and with my own issues that go on in my own life, it really brings me to a place where I get really sick. No matter how many times I shield, no matter how many times I ground. Yeah, a lot of people are like, well, haven't you tried wearing a stone, blah blah. Listen, my incarnation in this lifetime, I don't get those luxuries. Stones make me sick. Shielding helps me for a minimal amount of time. My body is supposed to physically feel things and everybody to deliver messages. And then it's up to me to do enough grounding to get it out. Anyway, so the first reading that I did for the first time in a month, it was a younger girl, and it was basically like watching myself at a very young age. She was going through her spiritual awakening. And so I felt like, you know, in so many videos that I make and the things that I talk about, I feel like from having this hiatus happen, it was almost a message to me to go back to the beginning for, you know, some people that are still really trying to get their feet in the door or understand what's happening to them or what's going on with them. So I wanted to make a video about the spiritual awakening, and there is a second wave right now of younger people in their young 20s that are hitting the spiritual awakening. Almost as bad as 2012, but there's enough resources now that they're actually a wave of crystal children, and they're gonna have a little bit of an easier time. That still doesn't take away from what they're going through, but what a spiritual awakening is, it's basically a soul's cry for freedom. It's, you know, our souls incarnate on this planet, we go through these things called life, we have all of these traumas or tragedies happen, and then we hit this peak where nothing feels the same ever again. I remember what started happening to me is I started getting this intense anxiety and fear. I mean, my stomach anxiety was so bad. I was afraid to go to work. I was afraid of people. I was afraid everyone was gonna die. I was scared of everything. I was scared to get in the car. I was scared that everyone was talking about me. Like, the spiritual awakening puts you in a place where you feel like a psychopath. Like, I wanted to be hospitalized. I didn't know what to do. I asked my parents to check me into an insane asylum because I didn't know what was going on with me. And when your body is experiencing so many different awakenings and openings within it, you feel like you have diseases. Started hot flashes. I would get hot flashes all night and throughout the day. So of course, WebMD, I'm like, what is a hot flash? What is happening to me? And you know, through realizing, you know, now what it is I know that the hot flash is your Kundalini beginning to rise. Me and my friend Shanna were having a very interesting conversation today. We were talking about how around the times in 2010 when like peak awakening happened for us, we got back injuries, and I compared it in my brain started going, and I was like, oh my God, like, you know when you have a glow stick, and I have a pen in my hand so I can use it, so you know when you have a glow stick and you snap it and that's when the light starts to begin? I wonder if the spine and the Kundalini, you get a back injury, and that's what begins the ignition of the light in your DNA, in your Kundalini. And you know, I really feel that to be true because I know way too many light workers that have had back injuries that were the most random thing you could think of. So you will have hot flashes, trauma, accidents, sickness. You will get things that no doctor could cure. They'll say, like, we have no physical evidence of what you're saying is happening to you. The anxiety will be so bad, but actually anti-anxiety medication will make it worse. So you feel like there's no hope for you. And it's actually what pushes people to find Reiki practitioners or to find the other way or to find something else, because at this point, everything that is human that we've been made to believe is like normal, they're not working for us. So we search for other answers. And you know, a lot of people have said when they were searching for their answers, they stumbled across my YouTube channel. So I think that's also why, you know, bringing it back to the beginning, I want to make a video like this. You become really sensitive to noise, to smell, to taste, things that you used to like eating, you won't eat anymore. Smells that smell really bad. It's like almost like you think you're pregnant. You're like, how do I smell something this crazy? But it's preparing you that you're going to be able to smell certain energy. Loud noises are intolerable. When people play loud music, like I could be at a show and like, you know, I work in music and shit. I could be at a show and be fine, but like if I'm in the car and someone has music that I don't like the vibration of, like blaring, I'm like, please turn that down. Or if someone yells, I'm like, oh, please stop. I remember my eyes became very blurry around 18 years old. My vision became like very blurry. And so of course I thought I had MS or diabetes because, you know, my body always hurt. You know, a lot of the body pain, people get misdiagnosed with fibromyalgia. And it's really just a sensitivity to energy and not knowing how to purge it, at least in my findings and where I work with people. And you know, they get to a place where the fibromyalgia almost no longer exists in them. And, you know, Reiki does help it because it is part of your spiritual awakening. You know, they call fibromyalgia right now, it's like a plague of an autoimmune disease that they have no reason for. And, you know, people are finding relief in energy medicine. So I think that that's amazing. But back to my eyes would get so blurry. And I remember going through, like, I would be driving and I would be going through lights, and they used to not, like, I would be able to look at a light and it wouldn't bother me, but now it started like strobing everywhere, and it was like a light show every time I was driving, and it was the scariest thing. And I realized that that was actually my third eye beginning to awaken, and all the energy in my body had to, in this like area, all the energy had to go to my third eye to help it awaken. And that is how I started seeing auras. So, you know, if your vision gets a little weird when you're going through this, you know, obviously always check with the doctor. I would never say like, oh, don't do that, but like, there's a huge chance that everything physically that's going on with you, you are going through an intense spiritual awakening. Your body is going to be in a lot of pain. I would have days where I'd wake up and be like, how do I sleep? Like, do I beat myself up in my sleep? Sometimes it still happens. Like when I woke up with my back injury recently when I was having a massive root chakra release. But it mirrored issues back to the start of when I actually hurt my back, and everything got so much more intense for me. Sleeping patterns, you know, if you wake up, you know, they say you wake up at like 2 in the morning, 2. For me, I'm just an insomniac at this point, because when you live in a high vibration, and I'm mostly raw vegan, so I have a consistent high vibration, so my body actually doesn't know how to shut off, so I have to take sleeping aids, and my sleeping patterns are awful. I stay awake until the sun is out, and I don't even want to. Like, I cry from frustration sometimes, but then I accept that this is just the life that I chose, and this is what I do, and, you know, I'm okay with it, because I think for a lot of empaths and energy workers, existing during the day is really difficult, because that's when people's energy and emotions are flourishing the most. You know, they're late to work, or, you know, they're just the most awake. And I think feeling that consensus of energy is like really difficult on empaths, so they actually stay up at night and then like sleep most of the day. I tell most of my clients, I'm like, please don't mind me. My sleeping patterns are that of like an 18-year-old like cokehead boy. And I apologize so much. It's not due to being irresponsible. It's just how it happens for me. You will start to get a Buddha belly, the bloating that will not go away. And that's because your body is storing water, because your DNA is starting to transfer over to light sphere DNA. And your body has to retain water for energy and to keep you hydrated. So make sure in these moments you are drinking so much water. The bloating doesn't mean you're eating too much. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. I mean, it is intense bloating. Like, you look 8 months pregnant one day when you wake up. Just allow it. The biggest thing that I could say when you're going through a spiritual awakening and ascension symptoms is you thank your body. I like to actually put my hands on my body of what's happening and just say thank you. Like, thank you so much for being here for me, for helping me. You will have a very low sex drive when you're going through this. Your sacral chakra cannot have anyone else's energy inside of it. It will not tolerate it. It can't handle it. Your legs will tingle as your root chakra is starting to activate. Your heart chakra will have palpitations as your heart chakra is starting to expand. Your hair is gonna thin, and it's gonna almost look like your hair is falling out. And it's because, you know, if you think about it, your hair is your wisdom. So your body is using all of the energy that it takes to like grow your hair and to keep it looking really great, and it's using it to activate your crown, which is essentially your wisdom. You're gonna have such heightened anxiety that you're gonna feel like the world is an incredibly scary place. It's okay to feel that way. As I spoke about before, like I would walk into work and I would be able to like feel, yeah, I'm reading off a list because it's a lot of shit. I would be able to feel other people talking about me, and I felt paranoid because no one would actually confirm what I was feeling. Like as you're in your awakening, say you're in a relationship or you're around people, you're gonna hit that place where you're asking people like, are you okay? Is something going on? Like, is everything okay? And they'll be like, yeah, everything's fine. But you internally know that it wasn't. You know, they're not giving you those confirmations because people most of the time will be freaked the fuck out by you. Later on, you will get the confirmations. Like a very difficult part of when you're awakening and when the ascension is happening and things like that, and not following your gut, is people will tell you no, and you'll like intuitively you'll say to yourself like, oh, I'm just using the past, like, oh, this person's different, but then it turns out to be exactly what you wanted. So in this, your intuition is a very double-edged sword. You're unlearning what you've been taught, but you're also having to follow your intuition and make sure that you're not just creating excuses for the truth, because our intuition will generally always tell us what the truth is, and it's up to us if we want to listen to it or not. It's always that really difficult thing that we don't want to hear. You know, you're going to feel like your life is false, like something is missing. You're going to feel like everything is weird. Everyone around you is weird. You don't identify with people anymore. You don't like hanging out with the same people. You're going to feel like you have no purpose. You're going to feel like you're just here existing and everything around you is just difficult and painful. You start to realize that everything is a lie. Almost everything that we've been like given since we were born and like we've perceived from our parents, like most of it is a lie. And when you become awoken and you have your spiritual awakening, that's your like quest to find like the universal truth. And you're not accepting bullshit anymore. You're not accepting people's excuses and projections and insecurities. It's just, it becomes too much. You're just like, I can't handle this. So you want to spend a lot of time alone, and you know, you'll have friends that'll make you feel guilty for it, and maybe they won't understand it. But the most beautiful thing about your spiritual awakening is that this is where you're finding who you really are. You're leaving behind the people pleaser. You're understanding yourself. You become so hyper aware of yourself. And you're like, oh my God, I was doing this because that was happening. You realize everybody is a walking projection of pain. And you see through everybody, and you know, you realize that everything is a teacher. A lot of people, when they hit their spiritual awakening, they have gripes with religion. And they're like, yeah, I don't really believe in any of that, but I believe something else exists, but I don't think it's what I was taught. That is a huge part of the process. A lot of people will identify with no religion for a very long time because they're too confused about it. Intuitively, it doesn't feel right, what they've been told, and they want to seek the truth. A hard part with the spiritual awakening is, and I said this, I felt this way most of my life, you feel smarter than everybody else, but not in a like, I'm so smart way. In a, you have more common sense than everyone. Like, people will be like, oh yeah, blah, blah, and you're like, yeah, I know, like, of course, that, like, but it's emotional intelligence that other people lack. And you're like, when you said that hurt that person's feelings, and they're like, I don't think I hurt that, and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, you did. Becoming hyper-aware of yourself is to become hyper-aware of other people, to become hyper-aware of the planet, hyper-aware of the consciousness. It's painful. You know, you get spiritual flu. You'll one day wake up, your back will hurt, you'll get a fever, you'll be sick for 2 days, you'll cry about some shit, and then you're like, what? And you feel like you lost 10 pounds. You know, spiritual awakening isn't for the faint of heart, and it's not for the weak. It's not here to hurt you, but it's going to cause a lot of pain, but the pain is going to be your greatest teacher, and it's going to be what ignites your fire to want the truth and to strive to become the spiritual being you want to be. You're going to get that synchronicity. You're going to see the 444s, the 222s, the, oh, I was just talking about this person, the, oh, I was just thinking about that. it's really, the first year I think of spiritual awakening was the most magical for me, I think. Because it was realizing that I was special and I never felt special. So I think that was one of the most beautiful parts about it. I remember I would be driving to work every day to the tattoo shop I was working at the time, and I didn't know what an angel number was. When the spiritual awakening was happening, I had no idea what was happening. I knew I saw dead people, I knew I saw auras, and I knew I was a super freak. And I kept seeing the number 69, like consistently on license plates, and I was like, that's funny. But then it became like okay, this is happening a little too often. Is this a bad omen? Because that's where your brain goes when you see, you're like, why am I seeing so much of this? And you become really freaked out. And I remember it started with that, and then it went to the number 86. And 86 scared me because that number was associated with something that gave me really deep anxiety and fear about my life. And now I've been seeing 86 so much, and I'm going back to those days, the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And then I have this massive root chakra release. And you know, in my blog, I talk about this massive root chakra release of safety, being 21 years old, bad friends, bad people, bad situations, not feeling safe in the world. And you know, seeing 86 now again, and then coming back into reading and reading someone that is having their spiritual awakening first happen, I know that this is the full circle of all of it. Wanted to keep this video super short, even though it's about 16 minutes long. I apologize. I do know how to ramble. It's something I'm really fucking good at. I'm back in the groove of things. I hope everybody has enjoyed this video. You know, to set up a reading with me, go to my website, alexmarchenergy.com. You could purchase a reading and then email me, or email me to set up dates. Everything is on my website. I hope to make another video soon about what has been going on with Ascension for, you know, a lot of light workers. There has been a lot going on. I've been channeling a lot, and it has nothing to do with a moon cycle. So I hope everybody is really good. I hope you get something out of this. You know, if you're struggling and you're looking on the internet right now and you don't know what's going on with you and you have that anxiety and you know it's something else, here's your answer, and here is your sign that you're meant for something more. All right, everybody have a good day, and thanks for listening to me ramble. Okay, bye.